In recent times, I've noticed a massive surge of newer PvP players coming to compete in the structured PvP game mode in Guild Wars 2. It's awesome to see so many new faces, and I want to personally welcome you all to the pit of hell. Fight on point!
Where's my team?
Do you have
Sucks.
3 Necros? That build is cheating so
Did you
OP.
dodge?
What was that?
Please.
You're throwing! Nah, I'm just kidding. It's a ton of fun, but it can be extremely difficult at times to perform well. So that's why I'm sharing my list of 10 general PvP tips to help you guys have a much stronger start. These are in no particular order, but if you stick around to the end, I'll share with you guys a fun little PvP secret that I recently discovered. Okay, now let's get into the tips. Tip number 1, keep a positive mentality. If I had to rank them, this one would absolutely be the most important tip of them all. Guild Wars 2 PvP is extremely skill-based and the skill cap is very high, which means you have a lot to learn. This is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it means that you have a lot of catching up to do and a long road ahead in terms of improvement, but on the other hand, it means that you can constantly get better and better at the game. If you're a newer player, before long you'll find yourself winning a large majority of your fights, but you can still get better, and better, and better. The only thing that can stop your improvement, and often does for a lot of new players that I encounter, is your own ego. Leave your ego at the door and focus on improvement. Forget about rating, forget about proving anything to anyone, and just enjoy the game and play to improve. Not only will you have more fun this way, but you'll also get a lot better at the game than most of the player base as a result. Tip number 2, play with your team. Guild Wars 2 PvP is incredibly team-based, and the outcome of each match is often determined by who wins the team fights. If you're off doing your own thing, you could be accidentally sabotaging your team by leaving them a man short in their fights. Trust me, this is a lesson that I've learned the hard way. When in doubt, find your support teammate and stick with them like glue. As you continue to learn the deeper levels of strategy, then and only then will you know when to fight with your team and when to rotate elsewhere. In the meantime, get in those team fights and win. Tip number 3, pay attention to your minimap. Guild Wars 2 PvP is largely a strategy-based game, and your minimap is the key to understanding and reading that strategy. Imagine trying to play chess with your eyes closed. You'd never know where the enemy player was moving his pieces to. You'd only know where you were moving your pieces. That's kind of like what ignoring the minimap is like. It'll put you at a severe disadvantage, so pay attention to it at all times so that you know where your team is, where the enemy team is, and what fights are taking place. This knowledge only becomes more and more important as you climb up the ranks. Tip number 4, play a meta build or at least something close. Meta builds are incredibly strong, and they will allow you to learn the game without receiving false intel. See, if you play on a custom build and you do well, you'll essentially be rewarded for playing something that isn't good. As you climb the ranks, eventually you'll hit a brick wall and get stuck in this cycle of wondering whether you're terrible at the game or whether your build is terrible. The easiest way to avoid this situation is just to play meta builds until you've gotten a solid understanding of the game and are able to compete at the highest level. Then you can create a custom build because you'll have a much better understanding of what works in ranked and what doesn't. It's just one of those brutal truths about Guild Wars 2 PvP. Meta builds simply dominate. If you're unsure where to find a meta build, feel free to join the Warpigs Discord with the link in the description, or you can visit metabattle.com. They stay up to date for the most part on all the current builds. Tip number 5, know your build. Once you've chosen your meta build, it's extremely important that you spend some time practicing with it on dummies or NPCs and learning all about how it works. You need to know what the damage combos are, what your defensive skills are, like condition cleanses, stun breaks, blocks, heals, etc., and overall just what your build brings to the table. What are its strengths? What are its weaknesses? I highly recommend searching up a build guide on YouTube for whatever it is that you're running. If you happen to be interested in Willbender or Spear Catalyst, I have extensive guides for both of those classes here on my YouTube channel, so feel free to take a look. Tip number 6, prioritize enemy targets. See that red circle target looking thing above the enemy's head? That's a target that was placed there by your team. They're signaling to you to focus that player and kill them first. Sometimes they'll put it there because that player has low health, sometimes because they know that player used all their cooldowns and is about to die, or sometimes they could be putting the target on that player simply because that player is playing the support role, and you always focus support first, or else the support will just revive whoever else you might down. No matter the reason, a target is an indication to your entire team to focus on killing that player before any others, so pay attention to these targets. A good practice is to keybind take target, so that anytime you see the target above an enemy player, you can immediately press this key and swap to that target as well. Once you start feeling confident in your understanding of who needs to be targeted, you should keybind call target so that you can also place targets yourself on behalf of the team. Tip number 7. Stay alive at all costs. A lot of inexperienced players have this idea that whatever you do, you should stay on node, even if it means dying on node. And while this is definitely a noble sentiment, it's actually not correct. Instead, you should do whatever you can to survive, even if it means giving up the node. See, kills in PvP lead to what's called snowballing. Gw2 PvP is very momentum based, and just like a small snowball rolling down a hill and gaining mass, the enemy team can begin killing you and your teammates one by one and snowballing your team towards a massive defeat. Imagine for a moment if every single fight that your team started losing, no one died, and instead everyone just backed away to safety and regrouped with fresh cooldowns, maybe even on another node somewhere on the map. This would make it incredibly hard for the enemy team to gain control of the map. Or imagine you're fighting in a 1v2 at the far node. Instead of letting yourself die, you just back away from the node somewhere near the enemy spawn. This poses a huge problem for the enemy team because now if they leave the node alone, you'll just retake it. But if they both chase you, they leave the node alone, and now you're distracting 2 players at once, leaving your team to play a 4v3 on the rest of the map, which is a significant advantage for your team. But if just one of them chases you, now you have a chance to get a kill. Imagine how much of a problem you could pose for these enemy players. None of that would be possible if you just stayed and died on the node in a 1v2. Hopefully that all makes sense, but if it doesn't, just remember this. Always, always, always do everything you can to survive. Tip number 8. Don't spam your abilities/dodges. This is probably the tip that I personally have had to focus on the most, so I'll be the first to plead guilty here. But spamming abilities, and especially dodges, just isn't the way to succeed in Guild Wars 2 PvP. You need to learn your build inside and out, and even the enemy players' builds, if possible, so that you know what to dodge and when, and so that you know when to cast your abilities. Dealing damage in this game has a lot to do with timing. Many times you can get 2 to 3 times more value out of pressing your skill in a specific order and on a specific timing than just randomly spamming them. Also, try not to develop the habit of using dodges for mobility. If you find you're struggling to move around the map quickly, try grabbing some mobility utility skills, or maybe running Links or Traveler Rune, or even Wayfinder Relic. Possibly even swapping to a different class, but you should almost never be using your dodges for mobility. Dodges are free evade frames that can help you avoid being killed in even the most dangerous situations, so use them carefully and sparingly. Tip number 9. Don't rotate into losing fights. I see this one happen all the time, and it's probably the main reason why a technically superior team loses against a team that watches their minimap. If a fight is already being lost, basically if there's already 1 or 2 players down in that fight, it is in everyone's best interest to rotate away from the fight. The fight is lost, so you need to regroup at another node, probably at the home node, since your team will respawn closest to your home node and can rejoin the fight there and take another shot at winning the team fight. I see this mistake happen most commonly on the home node because players get confused where to rotate. If your team is losing the home fight and your teammates are trickling into the lost fight, it's a good idea for you to rotate to the far node and duel whoever comes to face you. If more than one player comes to get you, refer back to tip number 6 and stay alive. Tip number 10. Play a spec that you really enjoy. And don't settle for anything that you personally find unfun. At the end of the day, this is a video game. If you're not enjoying it, don't waste your time. There are currently 36 different specs to try and 9 new ones releasing soon. There is something for everyone. And remember, PvP gear is equalized, so you can jump right into the game mode on a brand new character. Don't stop searching for the one spec you enjoy. When you find it, it'll make the game so much better. Trust me, I know from experience. Okay, I know that was a lot, but I really wanted to include all I could to help you newer players get a much stronger start in PvP and hopefully climb the ranks. Feel free to go back and watch the different tips whenever you need. I have them all timestamped so that you guys can sort through them easily. But now, as I promised, with the tips out of the way, Here's that secret. After a long, stressful, sweaty day of PvP matches, it can be good to cool off with a nice refreshing swim on the beach waters of Djin's Dominion. Just jump over this rock right here and boom, the oasis. Shoutouts to Salos for showing me this on his stream the other day. Okay, but that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.